Hi guys. Hi guys. I just need someone to tell me that my audio is good and we are running. You guys know that I talk a lot. When it comes to these topics that I enjoy, I can go on and on and on and on. So we have to start quickly so that I say everything I have to say. Especially as last week. Last week we had only like 30 minutes because those were on the live. I was like traveling. I was traveling while having the live. So let's do this. Let's do this. Immediately I get one person who can tell me that my audio is good. We roll. Hello, can I just get a sign? Great. Great, let's roll. Okay. So today we're talking about how to stop being afraid of failure so that you can finally live the life that you want. How to stop being afraid of failure so that you can finally live the life that you want. So I'm going to divide this into two. First, we're going to talk about where this fear of failure actually even comes from. And then secondly, we're going to talk about the solutions, right? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? I have so much to say. I have so much to say. So if you have somebody, if you know somebody who is supposed to be here, this topic was literally voted. It was a topic that we well everybody people voted for in the group. So if you have a friend who has to be here, please, this is your chance to get them here, because the things I'm going to be saying are not things that you have just, it's not over here. We're not giving you superficial knowledge. We're not giving you chat gpt knowledge. Chat gpt, tell me how I can stop being afraid of failure. No, 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 no. What, wait, yeah, but your chat gpt friend cannot tell you. So if you have a friend who wants to be here, please, this is your chance to send them this link so that we get rolling, okay? This is your chance to send them. Be a good friend. Be a good friend and send this link to somebody. You know those friends who are so afraid of failure, who are so afraid to try anything new, so afraid to take any risk, so afraid to do anything. So please send them this link that we are all learning together. And I know that this topic affects so many people. I know this topic affects, if it affects, I doubt that if there's somebody who's not affected by this topic. You just have to learn how to overcome it. And it's something that can be overcome, okay? There's this false belief that this fear of failure is just like a personality thing. It's not a personality thing. It's not about your personality. It's about the lack of knowledge and skill. We're going to be talking about all of that here. So if you've sent that to your friend, then let's roll. So the first thing I always talk about, and I mentioned this in the last live, I don't want to briefly talk about it again because it's so important, is this prison of certainty that many of us live in. Okay. The prison of certainty. That's like the term that I like to use to refer to it. Many of us live in this prison of certainty where we must be absolutely sure that something is going to go right before we actually do it. So you know how when you're small and you're just not afraid of anything, right? You're on discover mode. Okay, I like to call it discover mode. Just on discover mode. You explore things. You're not afraid to, like my baby right now. My baby has this thing about Vaseline. Whenever we leave, I think she like enjoys the texture, right? So we are always like, if you leave Vaseline where she can reach it, she's going to open it and dig her hands into it. The amount of Vaseline that she has wasted, she will just take it and dig her hands into it and rub her whole body. At one point, there's even a video. I started recording videos of her. Like, I'll just be so shocked that I'm not able to do anything. I'm like, and I'll take a video for memories, memories sake. And it's so frustrating sometimes, right? And sometimes we have to remind ourselves that she's a child. That's what we do, right? Not scolding her, but it's actually a discipline error on our parts because we're leaving it where she can reach it. But the point I'm trying to make is that she's on discovery mode. She's curious. She just goes about exploring it. She just climbs everywhere. She's not afraid of stuff. That's discovery mode. And many of us start our lives on that mode. You're not afraid. There's no fear of if I try this and I fail. And just to prove to you that nobody is born with the fear of failure. When you're a child and you are learning how to walk, how many times do you fail before you ever learn how to walk? So many times. You fail, you start trying to walk and then you fail and then you fall and then you fall on your bum and then it hurts and then you wake up again and you keep going. You just wake up again and you keep going just to prove to you that nobody is born with a fear of failure. We're not born being afraid to fail. It's not a personality thing, okay? You're not born being afraid to fail. A baby just fails and there's no fear of, oh, this is, I'm never going to get it right. The baby just intuitively knows that I will eventually get this right. But somewhere along the line we get into defense mode and we start being so focused on self-protection. We start being so focused on self-protection, and now we get to a place where we want to be absolutely sure that something is going to work before we even attempt. When I just think about it, it's sad because you have no idea how much we limit ourselves with that kind of thinking. And we're going to get into all of that. So, and I was explaining in our last live. If you're not watching our lives, I don't know what you're doing because every live builds on top of the other. I'm just talking about the fact that some a lot of this comes from that's two systems that fuel this. Okay, there's the school system and there's the home system or whatever system raised you, right? Maybe you live with your parents, maybe you live with some family, but just your upbringing. Yeah, two systems: school system and upbringing. And in school, there's this idea of you write an exam one time. You have one chance to write the exam. If you don't pass it, you're failed, right? So we live with this idea that you have one chance. If I don't pass this exam, then I have to do a receipt. If you're in university, for example, you get to do a receipt, but there's this idea that if I'm doing a receipt, then I'm somehow less intelligent than other people. Other people that doesn't have to do the receipts. I'm dull. So it's this idea of one chance. I have one chance to get things right. But in real life, you don't have one chance at things. In real life, life was not designed for you to have. If you make one mistake, it's the end of the world. I hope you're getting that. But it's a culture that we have learned in school. It's a culture that we have learned in school, right? So because of a number of things that we're going to talk about later, we get into this defense mode. We have moved from discovery mode into defense mode. Now is self-protection. Now is I don't want to make a mistake. Now is you now start getting focused on yourself. You build this shell around you because you're coming from somewhere. Because there is something you've learned. All right. So I hope we're still together. If we're together, let me know. I want to see your reactions in the chat. So there's also the upbringing aspect of it. There's the upbringing aspect of it. Many of us, the things I'm going to be seeing here, if you're not ready, you're going to be getting annoyed. And if you're going to be telling me that no, I grew up well, my upbringing was perfect. I'm just many of us grew up to there are many aspects of this. Okay, the first aspect of upbringing is this emphasis on obedience. Many of us grew up with a heavy emphasis of obedience where you were raised. You're just told that do as I say. Don't talk back. Have you heard that one of don't talk back? Or that one of don't talk back is even funny because they're shouting at you that don't talk back. And then when you are not quiet, they say, I'm talking to you, you're not answering. I'm talking to you, you're not answering. But there was a heavy emphasis on obedience without explanation, without just do as you're told, just follow the rules, just obey, just obey. And there is this also feeding of ego. Many of us grew up in homes where there was an emphasis on protecting or keeping up appearances, protecting the image of the family, right? There are many of you that you were even, let me be graphic, you were even, say, molested as a child. And then you go and report it, and then it's like, shh, you don't talk. Let's be quiet. You don't say those kind of things. Don't tell anybody. Your own parents, after you've opened up about something, is telling you that let's hide it, keeping up appearances. And many of you, that what had followed you into your later years. Hmm. That would have followed you into your later years. You're obsessed with the idea of there's something inherently wrong about failing. There's something important. There's something that's fundamental to your core about keeping up a certain image. So you're afraid to take risks because you have an image to protect. So you grew up in an environment where even when something like that happened, your everything is covered. You cover it. Shh, don't say any. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. So you grow up to be that person who has an image. You are bent on protecting. You have placed, you have an identity, you have placed a part of your identity in the image that you're able to portray to the outside world. Another part of the upbringing is you do something, you do a mistake, you spill juice, for example, you spill water and you are yelled at. You're not taught how to not spill water. You're not taught how to go about it if you spill water, how to clean up. You know, you're yelled at, you're beaten, and then you're told to go and sleep. You cry, well. But nobody actually teaches you the skill. Nobody taught you the skill that, okay, this is what to do so that you don't spill water next time. Or it's okay, your spill water, it's okay, baby. I'm going to teach you how to, I'm going to teach you how to go about it. Maybe if you want to put water into your cup, this is how you do it. Or if you want to, you're not taught the skill, you're just yelled at and told. Just imagine that, for example, my with my baby now, like I imagine in typical African home, you can't touch something that they have, because in this example that I gave of my baby who is constantly digging into Vaseline, right? It's not a discipline issue on her part. It's actually a discipline issue on my part. I keep putting it where she can reach. But in a typical African home, my ego will not allow me admit that, right? My ego will not allow me to admit that it's my error. It has to be the child's error. So she does that. She touches something I don't want her to touch, and then I yell, I scold her. She hasn't learned the skill. She is probably not never going to learn the skill because all I'm going to be doing is yelling and scolding. And that's how many of us were raised. So you grow up being so afraid of making a mistake. In a sense, so afraid to spill the water because you have learned that it's not safe. It's not safe to make mistakes. It's not safe to not show up perfectly. I get hit when I don't do things exactly as they're supposed to be. I get scolded and I get yelled at when I don't do things perfectly. That's where many of us are coming from. Unfortunately, that's where many of us are coming from. I always get that if we're together, tell me that we are together. If we're together, you need to tell me. I need to see our comments. I need to see our comments before I go on. Are we together? So there's this aspect of our upbringing. We are told your brain learns that it's not safe, that perfection, that imperfection is not safe. You're never told that it's a normal part of life. You're never told that that is just how things. Do you realize that in life? And anyway, mm, this one that I'm about to say, the one I'm thinking whether I should say that I should not say. I'm thinking whether to say or not to say it. It has gotten to the point where even in the church, right, we speak about failure with disdain. We talk about having a God of, and when this is taught the right way, it's beautiful because technically we cannot fail, right? Because we have Christ, technically we cannot fail. Remember when people say, when you ever had a statement that, what would you do if you could not fail? It's such a powerful statement, especially for Christians, because technically you cannot fail. That's even the more reason why we as Christians should be the ones who are more willing to take risks and make mistakes because you're bound to success. But there is a version of this that has even infiltrated the church where this I cannot fail has been taught in a way that has been, or this is what many young believers interpreted to mean that I cannot make mistakes, that I cannot make mistakes. So you see believers who are obsessed with getting everything right the first time, that they don't move at all. Whereas the reality is that even the most successful in the faith have made mistakes and they have failed themselves forward. Failure as a skill. Failure is a skill. Failure is a skill. Failure. There's this. We'll do it as a webinar in secure mentorship. If you're not registered for secure mentorship, I don't know what you're doing. Secure Mentorship Academy is a 6-month program. You see all these things that we're teaching. It's not about coming for a one-time webinar. It's not about coming for a one-time live. By the time you leave this place, if you're not grounded in a place that will be reminding you of these things every day, you're going to forget. There's something called rewiring the mind, resetting your mind, reprogramming your mind. It's not a one, it is a process of constant exposure. It is a process of constant exposure to new, because where many of us are coming from, it's a lot of conditioning. You have been conditioned to fear failure. You have been conditioned to fear failure. Another one is overprotection. Many of you are. I don't know if there are Ajabo children here like me. I grew up an Ajabo child. Overprotection. Maybe some of you, your parents not allow you. Anyway, I think so many of us are probably in this boat. Your parents not allow you to fail. Many of you, how they could say it, how they usually say it. There's an enfant de la barrière that you are born, your, how do they say it in English? Like you live within the gates. Those kids that are always, their houses have gates, right? That kind of the idea. If you're not Cameroonian, you, you might not understand what I was saying. But those children that live within the gates, you don't go out of the gate anyhow. Yeah, overprotected. You have like helicopter parents that are always monitoring to see that everything is done for you. I mean, some of you grew up with maids in your house, left, right, center. Even if you not grow up with maids, some of you are. If you have a problem in school, your parents will come and fight everybody. Not everybody might relate to this, but those who relate know what I'm talking about. But what you don't understand is there's a signal that sends a signal to your brain that you are incompetent, that you cannot do, that you're incapable. That's the word. There is something that overprotection does to your brain. As I said earlier, failure is a skill that must be learned. Ah, you don't prepare for the world. You don't prepare for the world by being enclosed in constant safety. That's not how it works. You don't influence the world. You don't transform the world by being overprotected and unexposed to the world. Hmm. It sends a signal to your brain that you are incapable. So when you're now launched into the world, many of you are launched into the world and now you're in this cycle of a fear of failure. If I do this one and it doesn't work, if it doesn't work, what and so what? Like and so what? Sorry to break it to you, but if it doesn't work, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. For many of you, even in your upbringing, you saw the way many of you learned early. You learned very quick that in this home, you might not have put it in these words, but you learned very quick that in this home, failure is not acceptable. Oh. You saw the way your siblings, for example, maybe if you're not the firstborn, maybe you're the second, third born, you saw the way their siblings ahead of you when they failed, you saw the way they were treated. And your brain quickly learns that for my own safety. Many of you are good children. Many of you are, you claim that you're good children, you're the obedient one, you're the calm one in your house, you're not the rebellious one. But it's not really obedience in the true sense of it too. It's not like you really honor your parents like that. It's that you learn to be compliant for your own safety. You learn to bend backwards to preserve your to preserve yourself emotionally and sometimes even physically, because you're afraid that they may hit you, they may whip you, they may beat you. So many of you have this idea that I'm a very calm person, I'm very obedient, I'm not stubborn, I've never been a stubborn child. It's not really that you've never been a stubborn child like that. It's not really like that. It's that you learn to be compliant. You're calling compliance obedience. You're not really obedient, you're compliant. Your brain is seeking your own safety because you learned early that it was unsafe to be your own human self who makes mistakes, who doesn't always get it right all the time. There's a big difference. There's a very big difference between that and true obedience. There's a very big difference between that and true obedience. Hmm. All together. If I don't see your comment, I'm not going forward. If I don't see your comment, I am not moving. If I don't see your comment, I am not moving. So many of us learned, for example, that this is one. one mindset that I used to have. Like I remember one time I was in class and I had given this exercise and they had called I think me and another girl in front to give answers. It wasn't in Cameroon. We had to like come and share our answers to the exercise, right? And the answer that the person one of my classmates shared, the answer that one of my classmates shared as a proposed answer to one of the exercises was not the answer that I had. So in my mind, I was like, that answer is wrong because it's not my answer. And the teacher looked at me like, why is that answer not right? Because I said I was not right. And I could not tell how I was not right because all I knew was that there has to be only one right answer. That's the mindset that many of us have, right? There can only be one. There can only be one right answer. We have not embraced the both and approach to life. Many of us have an all or nothing mindset. It's either I succeed. If I don't succeed, then if I don't do this, if I don't get this thing right, if I don't succeed at it, then I'm a failure. All or nothing mindset will not help. Will not really help you like that. I hope you know. The reality of life is not designed to be lived in an all or nothing mindset. It's either this or that. It's either. Mm-mm. And I'm always telling you guys, those are following the life. Perfectionism, not those of you that yeah, I'm a perfectionist, very toxic. There's a big difference between perfectionism and excellence. There's a big difference. Excellence is not perfection. Excellence doesn't mean that it is perfect. Many of you want to live in perfect mode. Excellence doesn't mean that something is perfect. There's a very big difference. Oh yeah, perfectionism, left, right, center, very, very toxic. Very, very toxic. I already mentioned earlier that many of us not learn the skills. There are skills that are required for to live as the opposite of failure. We're talking about being afraid of failure, right? The opposite of failure is success. So that there are many skills that are necessary to live a successful life. You don't have to live a failure life. You don't have to live a successful life. And there are many of us that were never taught. We are so focused on safety, 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 but we have never learned the skills that are actually required to not be afraid of failure. Skills like resilience. Resilience is a skill. I talked about failure itself as a skill. And I'm going to get into the details of that when I talk about like the solutions. Resilience is a skill. Many of us are not resilient. You think that life is just like this upward journey, and the moment that something doesn't go as planned, your life has come to an end. There's something called resilience as a skill, perseverance and persistence as a skill, adaptability. These are skills that if you have, failure will not feel like the end of your world because even if things don't go as planned, I can adjust. I can adjust. Even if things don't go as planned, I can use my critical thinking, my problem solving skills and find a solution. Have you ever thought about that? Because you don't even have a problem because you going back to my point of how many of us we just learn to comply and to be obedient, and we thought that was we just learn to comply. We thought that was obedience. What that does is that it stifles your creativity. What that does is that it stifles your creativity. Many of you think that for example, it's part of our culture. You're just told that go for what is safe. Many of you do that ideas that God has put in your heart, but you don't want to do it because you have grown up in a culture that tells you that just go for the job that just it's not about getting a job. Get a job, get a job, get a job. Or just about get a job that's going to give you a salary. Don't be doing all those risky things. But there are ideas that God has put in your heart that could change, revolutionize the world, but they will never come to existence because you are afraid that what if it fails? Hey God, have mercy on our on our nation. You're afraid that what if it fails? What if it fails? What if it fails? When you confuse compliance and obedience, it stifles your creativity. It stifles your ability to think. They just told you grew up in a culture where they say go left. You think that you're a very good child. I'm a very obedient child. They say go left, go. You have never learned. Do you know that they are supposed to in a healthy environment? Do you know what a healthy environment looks like? There's a difference between obedience and honor. Obedience is just a healthy environment looks like even someone in authority can say do this and I'm able to like question. I'm going to ask questions and say I don't think that. I think it should be. But you should not grow up in that environment. You grow up in an environment where they will tell you that how dare you. I say you should go there. You're telling me that it is, how dare you dare? I've told you that let's do this, and then you're questioning my. So the ideas in many of you that will never see light. Okay, okay. I hope that we're learning. I hope that we are learning. If we're together, let me see your comments. Let me see your comments. Let me see your comments. Sometimes these particular incidents that you have experienced are causing this fear of failure, right? And then you now live your whole life based through the filter of that one incident. Maybe you dared to speak up in class one time and then people laughed at you. Maybe you dared to question authority. Ah, and the slap that you received, you learned, your brain said that never again. Never again. But the problem is that now you're viewing life through that filter, through that lens, through the lens of that one incident. And when I talk about the solution, we're going to go into how to, overcome that. I think I should put a question. Should I put a Q&A sticker so that people can ask their questions? Let me see if I can find that sticker. Okay. So, so I've put a Q&A sticker there so that maybe at the end we can take a few questions. Sometimes there are particular incidents that you've experienced that make you afraid of failure. They make you afraid of failure. But let me just say this here, that many times, many of us, sometimes this fear of failure is not a moral failure on your part. It's not always that the problem is, because many of us try, whenever we struggle somehow, we always try to make it about us, that there's something wrong with me, like I'm broken within. Sometimes it's just your environment. You're in a culture that has told you that there's such a thing as foolish questions. You know how their teacher in class, if in class and their teacher will say, push ask your questions. There's no stupid question. And then you carry a coach and you ask a question and everybody starts laughing. Even the teacher starts laughing. And then even though they are saying with their mouths that there's no stupid question, the environment has taught you that there's actually a thing as a stupid question. But it's not your fault, it's the environment's fault. The moment you find yourself in another environment where you truly feel free to voice your opinions, for example, to air your mind, right? Is there a problem? Are you guys getting me? I think I'm seeing a question, not a question, a comment here about the mic. I hope you guys can get me. If you cannot get me, tell me. What was I saying? The moment you find yourself in an environment where that belief, that atmosphere is different, you actually realize that that's not been a problem. The problem might not be coming from within you. Sometimes it really is the environment. Okay, not everything is a moral failure from within you. Not everything is about you being broken. It's not about, you're not broken. Okay, you're not. There's not something wrong with you. There's not something wrong with you. Many times it's not about you. Okay, sometimes it's about the upbringing, the environment, the culture surrounding you. But yeah, that's why you have to identify it. That this culture is a problem, and then separate yourself from it mentally. People laugh at me because I say my mind, I say what I want to say. It's not me the problem, they're the ones that have an issue. Yes, I can be right and the whole world is wrong. That's possible. Yeah, that's possible. We've really talked about awesome. I've really talked about overprotection. Okay, well, I've talked about sometimes you make mistakes and you're punished so severely for them. Nobody really teaches you the skill in order not to make those mistakes. And then your brain, like your brain, I mentioned this in the discipline that builds confidence course, right? Your brain is not wired to help you succeed. Your brain is not wired for your success. Your brain is wired for your safety. And if you're not aware of this, you constantly allow your brain to rule your life and it will be taking the direction of safety, whereas success is higher than safety. Success requires you to take the risk beyond safety. But if you're only following your brain and what your brain is telling you, your life will only be directed towards safety, 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 and you'll never take the risks that can lead you to success. How that makes sense? So many of us grow up to be individuals. Not only are you afraid of failure, you're a perfectionist who is a people pleaser, who is because I've talked about this at length, where all of this is coming from. You're afraid of disappointing people. You're raised to feed the ego of your caregivers, keep up appearances. So now you just want to be a people pleaser. Mm-hmm. I thought about all or nothing thinking and all that. Yeah. So yeah, time to get into the solutions. This is actually the exciting part because it's a topic of the webinar, right? Of the live session. How do I stop being afraid of failure? How do I stop being afraid of failure? Okay. Are we ready for this part? This is the part where if you don't have your pen and paper, please get your pen and paper. Don't just be listening to what I'm saying just for listening sake. Have a place. And I also thought about this at the discipline that builds confidence course. Our courses are awesome, guys. All these courses is coming up from shy and timid to confidence. We're going to leave the details in the comment section. But you should register for it. Our courses are just awesome. I'm not even. It's not hype. It's not hype. Our courses are loaded. So the first thing I'm going to say is that number one, use failure to gather data. Use failure to gather data. Instead of thinking as failure as the end of everything, failure is not the end of everything. Can we first of all normalize failure? There's something called a learning curve where you do something for the first time, especially, you're not going to get it right. It is scientifically proven you're not going to get it right. Even if no matter how much of a genius you are, even if you are the most incredible genius on earth, your learning curve might only be a bit quicker. But everybody has a learning curve. It's going to take some time for you to learn, and then it gets to the point where okay, you start mastering. There's a learning phase. There's a learning phase before you eventually master it. So just accept that it is part of life. The fact that you don't get it right the first time, the fact that that business failed the first time, the fact that that idea, you try to launch an organization, you try to launch a business, you try to, to give an opinion, and it didn't turn out right the first time. It's normal. Okay, maybe if you didn't learn this growing up, let me tell you that it's normal. Okay, it happens to all of us. Maybe it's not the only person. You're not the only person. Okay, stop looking at people who have spent the years and are finally at a place where they are masters of certain things and they seem to be succeeding, and you're comparing your beginnings to theirs. How does that even make sense? So when you fail, I'm not afraid to fail because I'm just collecting data. It's adding to my bank of data that I can use to like analyze and be like, oh, this works, this does not work. Everybody needs a certain amount of data in order to go far in life. You need to have collected enough data to be able to make sound judgments. You need to have collected enough data in order to make sound judgments. So you have a well of data in your mind that, oh, if I do it this way, it's not going to work because I tried it before, it didn't work. But if I do it this way, it's going to work because I also tried it before and then it worked like this. I had some signals from when I failed last time that not to do that again. I also had some signals when I succeeded last time that okay, this is a possibility. You gather from all these experiences. It's all these experiences that combine to actually give you enough wisdom to make sound decisions as you're going forward in life. So technically, you don't fail. Technically, you're not failing. You're learning. Technically, when things don't go right, you're not failing. You're just learning. You're just adding to your data bank, data collection that you can draw from in order to do better next time. And that's what even with my team at Secure, right? Even when things look at the end of the day, we always try to do this thing of reflect on your day. What worked? What did not work? Let's see. Let's be moving and be. Many of you, that way this thing that sorry guys, I'm just feeling so hot. That's why many of you talk about how there's something, especially in our African culture, a lot of us talk about how, oh, I've suffered in this life, and that taught me, I've gone through so much in life and it has formed me into the person that I am. Many of you that not formed you into anything, that not formed you into a bitter person who is always looking for safety. You have gone through a lot in life, but you have not learned from any of it. Yes, uh, let me be blunt. Many of you have gone through terrible situations in your life. You've gone through very sad situations. Things have happened to you. But all that has formed you into is somebody who doesn't want to experience that again. So you're always going for like the safe option, and you think that no, it has formed you into a really good person. You have not taken time to learn from your suffering. The fact that you have suffered in life doesn't mean that doesn't mean that you are going to heaven. I hope you know that. Because someone was pride in some kind of useless suffering because it's useless because you have never taken the time to learn from the suffering. So even with my team, we do this thing of constant reflection. And I just one of the skills I teach at Secure, the skill of reflection. Okay, it didn't work. Okay. What can I learn from it? Let none of my failures, quote unquote failures, go to waste. What can I learn? Today, what worked, what did not work? And how can I draw from the data of today in order to improve my tomorrow? Have you guys seen the ask a question poll? I think you can ask questions there because I might not be able to catch all the questions that are here. I might not be able to catch all the questions that are in the chat, but I think you can use the poll instead of putting them in the chat because I might not get them. So use your failures to gather data. Use your failures to gather data. I talked about this other aspect in my last life. I was talking about faith is not certainty. Many of you just want absolute certainty in order to move. And it's so funny because we're the Christians who are talking about how we have God on our side. But you, any small decision that you want to make, any small thing, you want to take 5 day retreat, you go rich, you go rich. Any small decision you want to use 5 day retreat, 10 day retreat on the mountain, waiting for God to speak, and God is looking at you like, let me say this. There's this parable of the sower. I love the parable of the talents. Parable of the talents, not the sower. Parable of the talents. And then the master he gives them talents, and then he goes away to a far goes to a far away land, and then he comes back, and this guy that had one talent, right? He says, "Oh, I knew that blah blah blah. I knew that you were a hard man who reap where is not so. So I hid my talent." One thing that many people miss from that story is that God had already given them permission. He had already given them access. They didn't need to be like, he had already given them. So it God has already given you permission to do the things that are on your heart, to do the ideas that you come to your mind, to do the things that are in your spirit heavy on you. But many of us we spend our time, God, should I do it? Should I do it, Lord? And it's your fear that is speaking. Lord, should I do it? Imagine that that guy with the one talent was wasting his excuse was probably that sorry. Okay. His excuse was probably that he wanted permission. Many of you are waiting for permission to do stuff. You're waiting for permission. You're waiting for somebody to still give you permission to do things that nobody has to give you permission for. You want to start that new idea, that new project, start it. Start it. Start it. Can you just start it? Stop seeking for permission left, right, center. Stop seeking for permission. Stop seeking for permission. Even my mentees, don't waste time. You're telling me God has put on your heart to do something. You're still coming and asking me for permission to do the thing that God has told you to do. What am I supposed to tell you? That don't do it. I should come and tell you that you should not do it. Do it. You should be coming to people for guidance. Don't come to people for permission. God has given you permission. God has given you access. God has already given you the talent. Say God has given you the talent. And He has gone him. He has gone. God has given you that. You see that the how does they call him? The master. He gave them the talent and he left. You are still waiting there for me to give you permission to use the talent that I've given you. God has given you ideas. God has given you opinions. God has given you projects. God has given you ministry. You're waiting for stop living your life waiting for people to give permission. If you are coming to me, I'm your mentor. Come and tell me that see what I have in my heart to do. Can you guide me? Come and ask for guidance. Don't come and ask for permission. Be going, be going. This life, there's no time to waste. If you time just be going, and if you are feared, you fail, you learn from the failure, you get up and you go again. I talked about this last time. How yes, there's some aspects of your life where you have to really, really be careful that those like 'cause look at them like doors that if you go through, you cannot easily come back. And I personally believe that only like 5% of our decisions that fall in that category. Like maybe you want who to marry, who to get into a relationship with. You don't want to be playing with people's emotions. Those are really decisions that you can't easily get back from, right? Those are the decisions that you should be focused. That's are the decisions. Those are the only decisions that we should be here. We should not waste our time. That you might want to take out some time to really, really think about it. Those are the decisions that you might want to really take time and really be sure and careful. But anything apart from that, I beg you carry your leg and go. If it doesn't work, no problem. We go, we go, we go, we go. Not that any small thing, any small thing. So faith is not in the certainty. If you claim that you have faith, when you're sing this song, you call me out upon the waters. Na, na, na. You call me out on into the unknown. Talking about how Peter stepped into the unknown out of the boat. That's where faith is. Faith is out of the boat. Faith is on the water where there's no certainty that you're going to stand, where you might sink. That's where you start having faith. So many of you have not even started having faith. That's why the Bible says that if you have faith, even as small as a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, be removed and be cast into the sea, and it will be so. Many of us have not even gotten to the place of small faith like this because we're still holding on to certainty. You want absolute certainty. Your faith starts by where you have gone where you don't have certainty. Where you're not sure that what you're going to do is going to work. That's where your faith starts. Next one. Gain skill, okay. Gain skill. Many of us struggle with the fear of failure because we're not actually competent. Success, which is the opposite of failure, right, is about character plus competence. Many of you have character, but you don't have competence. I've thought about the skills that you have to get. The skill of emotional intelligence. If it doesn't work out, you're afraid to fail. That thing you're afraid to fail in. If it doesn't work out, do you have the emotional intelligence to regulate yourself and still? Many of you lack emotional intelligence. So when things don't work well, it just throws you off. You're not able to pause and think and say, okay, this didn't work. What's the next step that I can take? You won't be afraid of failure if you have these basic skills. Because even if it doesn't work out, even if it doesn't work out, I can recalibrate. It's not the end of the world. I'll just find a new solution. I have the emotional intelligence to pause, to not let my emotions cloud my judgments. Of another way that we can move forward. Be afraid of failure because you lack this skill. So emotional intelligence, problem solving, these are skills that ChatGPT cannot help you with. These are skills that AI cannot help you. In our AI generation, see guys, if you don't learn some of these skills, AI will take our jobs. Only these are the only skills that will be left though. These are the only skills that will be left. Emotional intelligence, problem solving, creativity, adaptability, able to adapt, able to adapt to new situations. Okay, things are not going as I've planned. Some of us are too rigid, too rigid. That's why failure just breaks you. Tax. Sorry, guys. I like to convince myself. I like to tell myself that I'm a very funny person, whereas I laugh at my own jokes. Sorry. Sorry. Some of us are so rigid. That's why failure breaks us. Tax. Some of us lack resilience as a skill. Resilience. If you're going to go anywhere in this life, you need to be resilient. Oh. Not that one. You start a new project. At the sign of the first problem, you're like, oh, this is not working. You pack your bags and you're gone. As in, as in. ah, the moment you just like this thing not working, you have gone. You say, I cannot. This nonsense saying that we have in this generation. I cannot come and kill myself. Yeah, I cannot come and kill myself. Yeah, I cannot come and kill myself. If it's not working, it's not working. Somebody should die. Somebody should die because of project. Somebody should die because of your fear of failure that you're trying to cover up with soft girl life. It's not soft girl life. You're scared. You're damn scared of failure. Okay, and I've already thought about failure as a skill. If you're not registered for secure mentorship, these are things that we're doing in secure mentorship. And in secure mentorship, our fee is 20K, right? And it's for a whole 6 months. I don't even know how to. I don't know how much that's so much of a bargain that I don't even know what to tell you again. And you can literally start paying little by little till when we launch on the 1st of June. So it's not even like you have to pay everything at once. You can literally start saving up, sending the money. It's okay. But the thing is that you must have completed your payment before you're actually admitted. So don't wait for the last minute because I know many of you are waiting for last minute. You're waiting for the what? April, May. How many days are there in May? You're waiting for the 30th or 31st of May to come and be like, oh, Auntie Danny, can I join? When we close on the 1st of June, when we talking about these things 1st of January, when we close on the 1st of June, we're not opening. We're not opening. You wait until 2027. You wait 6 months until 2027 before you can join again. So if you're waiting for last minute and then you start saying that, oh, you have not saved money, you have not, whereas you can start sending money little by little now. Now you sabi. Okay. Okay. So the next thing I want to say, I don't know what point we're on now. Is it point three or point four? You have to train your brain that it is safe to fail. This is part of like learning failure as a skill. If you're afraid to do something, start little, do small and test. See your life as a series of experiments. Even if you are afraid to do that huge, take that huge leap, can you see your life as little experiments? Even if you're unsure whether God has, because many of us, especially Christians, who are stuck on the idea of has God spoken, has God given confirmation that this thing is going to work, has God, because it's still that your fear that is speaking, because you want God to confirm as you are doing this thing that it must work before you will step. God will not talk. God will not talk. God will look at you like this. Is it the way I look at you now? God will look at you like this. Oh God. I laugh at my own jokes. Oh boy. So go and look at it like God will not say anything. God will not say anything. So we're stuck on the idea of has God spoken? Has God spoken? So even if you're not sure that God has spoken, can you take a small step? Can you just treat it like a small experiment? And let me okay, there's this big thing I want to do. Let me break it into small pieces and just take test a little bit. Let me test this little aspect. You can live your life as a series of small experiments. And if it doesn't work, it's fine. You can do the small parts. It doesn't work. You say, okay, no, this doesn't work, or this doesn't feel right, and you readjust. Are we together? Are we together? So see, treat your life as a series of small experiments, and then teach your brain that it is safe to fail. Do small. You're afraid to say. You're afraid to say. Sorry guys. You're afraid, for example, to answer a question in class, or I don't know. You're afraid to speak to new people. You're afraid to start a conversation. What's the smallest portion of that you can do? Try it, and then see, evaluate. Have I died? Have I what happened? What has really happened? Even if it doesn't work out, right? Don't go. If you are really afraid of something big, look for a small portion of that thing and try it out, and then see how it goes, and then evaluate. Have I died? I'm not died. I'm still alive. Did I lose money? Yeah, yes, I lost money, but it's not the end of the world. Okay, I'm stable. I'll regain the money eventually. Do we get? Do we get? So you have to teach your brain little by little, because the reason you're afraid of failure is because your brain has been conditioned over many years that failure is unsafe. Through all of the things that I've talked about before, right? Through all of the things I've talked about before, your brain has learned that it's not safe, it's not safe, it's not safe. If I make a mistake, it's not safe. I'm going to get beaten, I'm going to get shouted at, I'm going to get. Now you have to reteach your brain that it's okay to fail. It's okay to fail. It's okay to fail. To really think about it, you feel what, and it's the same thing that even with when you have your own children in the future, you don't want to be that parent that. No, there are many parents that are. You say, for example, let me give you an example. Your child wants to. You don't want your child to do their own laundry, for example, to wash their own clothes, because you're like, no, they're going to waste time. They're going to dirty everything. Let me just do it myself. Let me just do it myself. You're overprotecting your child. You're going to also raise a child that is afraid to fail. But think about it this way: even if the child washes the clothes by themselves and it's not clean, it's okay. Ah, Heavenly will wash our clothes. Hey, God, let this child just grow small. So, in this house, she's tough. I don't want to talk on YouTube because the way this child be walking, I ain't doing nothing for nobody. I ain't doing nothing for nobody. She will wash her clothes. If it's dirty, no problem. You will wear like that and go. If you wash the clothes, it's not dirty. No, and it's dirty, no problem. It's not the end of the world, though. And that's why many of you see, many of you have to join secure mentorship because you don't really know what it looks like for somebody to not be afraid. So you need to put yourself in an environment where you're able to see people, able to see me, for example, live a life without fear. And there's something that it does to your brain. Many of you don't know what it looks like to not be afraid of failure. So put yourself in an environment where it is normalized. Okay. If she washes the clothes and they're not clean, if she cooks food, let her just reach like how many years? 6, 7. She'll be entering the kitchen. She cooks the food and put too much, so we'll go chop am so we'll not die. Or maybe I'll be hiding and eating my other food. They will not die. She'll cook the food, it will burn. We'll go chop am so. With smiles on our faces. We'll gather as a family and we'll eat the food like that. Next time you will learn. You will do better. And that's how it will be. And that's how she's going to grow up, to not be afraid to fail. Because not the end of the world. She cooked food that was burnt. She put too much salt. She didn't wash the clothes well. I simply teach her how to do it better. And we move. We move. Many of us don't have this privilege, right? Next thing I'm going to say is I have to practice normalize. There's something called normalization. Okay. Let me explain. I don't know whether this is like gaslighting yourself and gaslighting other people. It's not the meaning of gaslighting. But if you're doing something and you feel like you're failing at it, for example, you're giving a speech. There are two dimensions of what I want to say. This is the first dimension. You're giving a speech and you're about to give a speech and say your setup is not working. You're in front of a large number of people and you're trying to pull up your slides. It's not working. It's okay to be like, oh guys, I'm so sorry. Um, just give me a few seconds. Let me try to pull this up. Normalize the fact that things are not going well. Most people don't really mind. Many of you are just afraid that what people think, what people think. It's okay to admit that you're failed. It's okay. Normalize it. Use to gaslight yourself and gaslight other people. If you don't know the meaning of gaslighting, go and check it. It's not a really good term. But it's okay to normal. Just make treat it like something normal because it technically it is something normal. Okay, it's not, things are not working as planned. Your it just depends on your perspective. Eh? One person in that situation will be embarrassed that oh my god, my slides are not coming. Maybe this people are waiting for me to make this presentation and I'm like my computer is messing up and you start panicking. You feel embarrassed. Another person will just normalize it and be like, oh guys, I'm so sorry. Give me a few minutes to set this up. Give me a few minutes for me to figure out what my computer is doing. Oh my god, you have normalized the experience of failure. And the second dimension is just normalizing it in your life in general. Admit to people that you have made a mistake. Admit to friends that you don't have it all together. Admit, just be authentic. And people love authenticity. That's what makes us human. That's what makes us easy to connect. The fact that you're not the person, you don't claim to be the person who is always successful, always has it right, always gets it correct. Nobody really wants to vibe with that kind of person, you know? Nobody really wants to connect to that kind of person because you just feel fake. Bro, you just feel fake. So, but just this admission of failure is so much part of our humanity. It is going to just help your life a lot if you just are okay to admit that things are hard, things are difficult. Mm. Not that you're going to stay there, but just being able to normalize it. You're going to have so many more friends. And I'm not saying friends who just want to pity you. I'm just saying that because you're going to connect to people more easily because people can see a version of themselves in you instead of giving a pic. And that's why intentionally, for example, I'm not having this live session with like I don't have my lights on. I'm literally just sitting on my chair in our living room. My phone is here. So some people, this is failure. This is not like the picture perfect. This is not perfect, right? I just tied my hair in the bun behind. I'm just like I'm not looking polished, whatever. I'm just get and I mean that's some of you here that like the vibe. So we just feel like we're just in the room with sister to sister, brother to sister, we're just having a chat. You get okay. The next one is to adopt a both and approach. When I mean both and or both both and either blah, 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 blah. Sorry. Adopt a both and approach instead of an either or approach, right? This is like a solution to the all or nothing thinking that I talked about. Many of us live like either I succeed or I fail. I can That's the either or approach. Either or, either or, either or. What about both and? I can fail at this and still succeed in life. Okay. I can make a mistake. That's why for many of you, a bad a bad uh, a bad day turns into a bad week. Or you want your day to go perfectly. You have planned your day that my day has to go perfectly. And when something doesn't go right on your day, your whole day is automatically wrong. Your whole day already feels like, oh, I've missed it. My this thing did not turn out right, so my day is automatically. My bad moments don't mean I have a bad day. There are many times that when I'm having my end of day reflection, that many things I didn't go right, but most of 97% of the days I have good days. I judge that I've had a good day, despite the bad things that happened, individual bad things that happened here and there. Because when I have a bad moment, it doesn't have to become a bad day. It's just a bad moment, and it can stay a bad moment. My next moment can be awesome, and at the end of the day, I have an overall great day, irrespective of failures here and there. Right? And it's because of this either or approach that many of you, a bad moment turns into a bad day. A bad day turns into a bad week. And then you start telling yourself that no, we'll go again next Monday. You want to wait, you're starting on a new Monday, on a new fresh start. Every day is fresh start, fresh start. What about a fresh start now instead of waiting for a fresh start on Monday or a fresh start on the next month? Next month. Okay. So many things can hold many things must not be opposites. Okay. It must not be if I fail here, it means that my whole life has failed. I can be struggling in one area of my life and still have an overall great life. I mean, you don't know the struggles that I'm having in other areas of my life. It might seem like I don't let one aspect of my life define my whole life. What's that? What's that? And then number six, rewire your identity. I've already talked about how important it is to set yourself in an environment. I really believe that if you want to rewire your mind to overcome fear, put yourself in an environment that is going to remind you of these truths every single day. You wake up every day, and that's what secure mentorship is. You wake up every day to a voice note from me, to a podcast, to lessons, to these truths, to cognitive reframes every single day. Let me just talk about this aspect of there's something called cognitive reframe, right? And guys, I'm learning. Oh, let me not. No, I'll not say this. They're just challenge your perspective. When I talk about cognitive reframe, challenge your perspective instead of thinking, "Oh, I failed at this, so my life is a failure." Think of it. Reframe your thoughts. Cognitive reframes like reframing your thoughts. Cognition is like thoughts, right? Thought patterns. Think of it as, "Oh, I failed at this. What an opportunity to learn." When it comes to this, even we have this emotional intelligence course coming up, bro. Those the things I'll be teaching there. This helps so much when you're having a surge of negative emotions. Cognitive reframes. You start realizing that you're only seeing one perspective. What about reframing that thought? You identify the thought and you reframe it, and you start seeing a different perspective and it affecting your emotions. Instead of thinking, oh, if I fail at this, everybody will laugh at me. Why not think, um, even if they laugh at me, it's their ignorance. And I've said this before, you can be right and everybody else is wrong. As at least in this area, right? I'm not going to say that you should go and don't push not misquote anything that I'm saying here. If you go and quote me somewhere that I've said something funny, I don't know you. I don't know you. Don't call my name on for nonsense. So start reframing your thoughts, and in order to really reframe your thoughts well, you need the right like knowledge, knowledge base, right, to be able to draw like these new thought patterns from. Another reason for you to join secure mentorship. Okay. Oh, why are my notes? Are we learning something? Are we learning? Oh, we're almost out of time. Almost out of time. So yes, I think I'm going to end it here. I just going to take questions. I don't know why you guys have not used the Because I feel like there are questions in the chat, but you people have not used the poll, or can you guys not see the ask a question sticker? Or am I the one that is not seeing where the questions have come? Because now there are questions in the chat, but will I now start finding, will I find all of them? If you have a question, please just write it now, right now. While I'm trying to go through the chats to see the questions that were asked. We're going to round this off with the questions. If you have a question, please just ask it now. Um, if you have a question, please just ask it now. I'm trying to find questions. Okay, there's one here. Please, how can one know if he or she is being compliant or obedient? If you want to know if you're being compliant or obedient, is ask yourself if you were to see obedience doesn't have choice. No, sorry, compliance doesn't have choice, right? Compliance is you feel like you don't have a choice, right? But obedience in the really healthy sense of it, and when obedience is really healthy, it's really more of honor than obedience. Compliance doesn't have choice. You just feel like you don't have a choice, and if you don't do what is being said, you are not even able to like fathom what the alternative is. But with real honor, or what you're calling here obedience, with honor, I know that I'm obeying you not because I have to. I'm obeying because I choose to. And even if I were to not obey, it will not be the end of, say, the relationship. It will not be the end of the world, right? It will not be, there will not be a withdrawal of your love. I have that safety, right? There's honor. Honor, there is a safety. Honor and obedience come with it, like this safety. That even if I tell this person no, this person will not withdraw their affection or their approval from me. The compliance is like, I don't do the one that I said, oh, okay, there's fear. But with obedience, or what I would like to call honor, there is safety. There is safety. It doesn't rob me of my choice, my agency. I can choose to say no. I'm choosing to say yes. I'm not doing it because I have to. Does that make sense? I'm not doing it because I have to. If you think about why you're doing what you're doing and it's because you have to, I don't really feel like you have a choice, and that's compliance. That's blind. Blind obedience is another discussion on its own. That's more of compliance. But if you think I'm doing this because I choose to obey this person. Even if I don't obey them, it's not the end of the world. Our relationship is not going to end, or they're not going to, do something drastic. I'm choosing to obey. Does that make sense? If it makes sense, please let me know. Oh, hi, mom. Long time no see. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for joining. Um, I'm trying to see. I think it's another question. How do you learn from your suffering? It's simply the skill of reflection. I've gone through this. This has happened to me. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this so that I'm a better person, so that I don't go through this again? Because that suffering is not really a flex like that. Many of people, especially Christians, you just feel like suffering is a flex. It's not, suffering is not really a flex like that. I don't want to spend my life suffering, suffering, suffering. If I'm going to suffer, I might as well learn from it so that it helps my life. It maybe should help me make money in the future. That suffering should help me make money. It should help me be a blessing to other people. It should help get. So it's just about reflection. Yeah, it's not deep like that, but it's just about reflection and drawing lessons from actually acting on those lessons. It's not just about going through the motions or drawing lessons. I've drawn lessons. Are these lessons going to really be implemented? How are they really going to change the course of my life in a particular way? Right. For example, many of you do your have your quiet time. I always give the example because I just find it so funny. You have your quiet time, you have all these revelations, Zakata, Yadaba, the Greek word has done this, the Hebrew word actually means gozoso, which means at the end of the day, nothing that you have learned in that quiet, nothing from that quiet time actually changes anything that you're going to do that day. Doesn't affect your life practically. So it's not just about drawing lessons. Let it actually affect your life in a practical way. What else? Oh, if that's it, then that's it, sir. With another question, unless I've missed, let me give one minute to see if there are any other questions before we end it. Our lives are supposed to be 1 hour already, like 5 minutes above time. Already like 5 minutes above time. So yeah, I'm not even seeing comments again. I don't even know we're together or we're not. So if we're together, please. Or if I've missed your question, let me know. In like 40 minutes, 40 seconds, we end this. If I don't see any other question, and I hope you learned a thing or two. In 30 seconds, we end this live. If I don't see any other questions, thank you so much for joining. In 15 seconds, thank you so much for joining, everybody. Thank you. I hope you learned a thing or two. Bye, bye, bye. See us next Friday. Yeah. If you're not on the WhatsApp channel, that's where we actually vote our topics. I'm going to put out a poll for the next same time, same time, same time. Thank you. That's my question. Means sometimes we learn compliance by default. Yeah, yeah, definitely. If you grow up in an environment that instills a lot of fear, you're going to learn compliance by default. You're not going to learn obedience. You're going to actually have to teach yourself how to honor people and not just be compliant to them. Because it's more loving to be an honoring person. It's more loving to be someone that can tell somebody no than to be someone that just does everything that somebody says. It's actually more loving to the person themselves as well. Yeah. Okay. All right, everybody. Bye. See us next Friday, same time. Put this in your calendar as well. I'm going to be having this every Friday, every single Friday, by the grace of God. Yes, it happen. Unless I'm on a break or something and I want to be on YouTube. But otherwise, every single Friday you can expect to see us here. So let this be in your calendar. Put alarm, put it on your calendar. Those who are in the discipline course know what I'm talking about. Schedule it in. Don't just be talking. Schedule it in your calendar. Do you have a calendar? Bye.